Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line, talking about Afghanistan. A lot of calls. We have with us Dr. Thomas Schwartz, Vanderbilt Political Science Professor. And I'm just going to keep going to the calls here. Let's go to Mike, who is on line 3. Mike, go right ahead. Mike, are you there? There was a point we had back-to-back mics, and Mike is not there. I'll put you on hold, I guess. Okay, let's go to Don, who is there. Hello, Don?
Yeah.
Good, Don, go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I mean, this is a good topic, man. I support the president on that decision to pull those troops out of there. We would have been damned if we took them out and damned if we didn't, you know. We just can't keep our men and women in harm's way trying to fight a war that doesn't bog down anyway. Those people, they had 20 years to get out of Afghanistan. So everybody doesn't want to wait until the last minute to try to get out. But they knew that day was coming. And, you know, you got the Republican Party, they want to try to shift the blame to this president. And I think he made the right decision, because if I got a son or daughter that's fighting in our military, the U.S. military, I wouldn't want them fighting in a war that doesn't, right, at this point, don't really mean nothing. And people got to realize that's not our country. That's those people's country to defend. And like I said, the people that's stuck over there, I don't feel sorry for them, because they've had 20 years to get out of that country.
All right, okay.
And everybody's wanting to shift the blame, you know what I'm saying, on this president. It's just not right.
Don, thank you. Don's saying they had 20 years to get out. I don't think that's quite accurate. But what do you say to some of what Don's saying there?
Well, no, because, I mean, basically, you know, the people who are trying to get out are the ones who are helping us there. They were trying to change their country for the better. And grant you, there was a lot of problems, and they're dealing with a very difficult cultural situation and everything else. But they were there because they wanted to help make Afghanistan into a different country. And the Taliban were going to target them. And so they wanted to get out when the Taliban were going to take power. They trusted the United States to keep the Taliban out. When the Taliban, when the United States sort of pulled out, they had a choice between that or, you know, trying to get out with the Americans or facing possible death. And I think I sympathize with their choice. They did not have 20 years to think about getting out.
Right. All right, let's go to Brad. Hello, Brad.
Yes. First, I'd like to say I'm a veteran, 66 to 70, and I support my brother. And we should have gotten out of Tora Bora a long time ago. One thing that people aren't talking about as much now, 19 of the 20 hijackers were Saudi citizens. So was Osama bin Laden. His family, I imagine they're still there. When our military intel, pinpointed Osama in which cave, which Tora Bora is fraught with caves, they pinpointed which cave he was in, we were going to get it. Military. Afghans were there too. At the last minute, if memory serves me correctly, not our military, not the Pentagon, but the politicians in Washington said, let the Afghans leave. What happened? They took the lead. Osama bin Laden went down the backside of Tora Bora and escaped. We should have gotten out there then. Hamid Karzai, one of the presidents, several presidents ago, was about as corrupt as the president, the recent president who just left Afghanistan, rumors with, he fought with cash and several vehicles. And we lost all of those people over there. Every war we've ever fought, where this supposed coalition, we have the majority of the troops and the majority of the deaths. Afghanistan, Iraq, Nam, in my day, Korea. Now I get the South Korean military. They will fight.
Mm-hmm.
They are very good. But the rest of them, I wouldn't give you a quarter for them.
All right. Thank you, Brad. I'm gonna jump off on a couple of points you made. Going back to when this all started after 9/11, Rob points out correctly 19 of the attackers were from Saudi Arabia. So there are people that think we got sidetracked by going into Iraq. Certainly, Afghanistan was where they said they trained, but that's an interesting point. 19 were from Saudi Arabia. It all goes back to that attack. That's why we're there, essentially, right?
Right. But keep in mind that they were from Saudi Arabia, but Osama bin Laden had been expelled from Saudi Arabia, and he would have been in trouble had he been in Saudi Arabia. This is a contrast between the government of Saudi Arabia and the people of Saudi Arabia. There were a lot of radical fundamentalists in Saudi Arabia. He had to go to Afghanistan, where he was sheltered by the Taliban. And Mullah Omar and the Taliban government gave him shelter and allowed him to plan 9/11. So, yes, he was Saudi, but ultimately the attack originated from Afghanistan. That's why we went there.
Let's go to Lucy here. Hello, Lucy. Lucy, go right ahead.
Hey, y'all. Let me kind of rip this off. Taylor has covered some stuff that I think is very important. That's a known fact about that army. They fought in position. They didn't fight like the Taliban where they moved around, and that comes from an expert that was on the NewsHour. It's a military strategist that's teaching, I think, at West Point now. But in your last caller, mission accomplished. In 1995, there was an ultra-conservative policy group that wanted to invade a certain country for a regime change. And the rumor going around was that they were going to negate a contract that was put out on good old Poppy. Well, that contract was negated when the contractor was hanged. So that mission is accomplished, and I think that was probably the whole objective. Operation Cyclone, anybody that's fought in Iraq or Afghanistan needs to find out what Operation Cyclone is. Joanne Herron and Charlie Wilson, that good old Southern Democrat, Charlie Wilson from Texas, are the ones who helped push us into this, because Joanne Herring was an ambassador and friends of people in Turkey and people in Pakistan. All I heard in the 80s from a lot of military people is our next big war is going to be in Pakistan. I'm like, how? That's when I started reading and started listening. And it ended up that the Taliban came out of Pakistan because Karzai went down there and allowed them in and recognized him as a legitimate form of government. He let him in against his own father's objections because he said that they were going to clear up the corruption. And that's kind of a joke when you know the history of what goes on in Afghanistan. But
right.
Anyway, the most important thing, and point to your last caller, Operation Encore. This came out at the FBI after 9/11, and the FBI shut that down. And a lot of people were talking about the C-17 planes that were full with billions of dollars in cash that were flown into Iraq that ended up, that were supposed to go to
Lucy,
Afghanistan.
What's your quick question?
I've got just 2 more seconds, please.
Couple more seconds.
That were flown into Iraq to pay these warlords in Iraq. But a lot of experts say that was the seed money for ISIS, and those were Wahhabis. So when you get all down to it, and you get to a conspiracy is a conspiracy, when they talk about the Twin Towers and all these conspiracy theories, that is where the Southern District of New York stored supposedly all of their organized crime records, and a lot of it had to do with the drug trade around the world.
Wow.
So what was it really about? Don't forget 1998, Operation Casablanca under the Treasury Department.
All right, we have to go. All right, we have to take a break. We'll be back right after this.